Hi, my name is Tiffany Floyd and I'm one of the space teachers with Richmond Public Schools. I teach at Blackwell, Carver, and Fox Elementary. Today we are going to combine geometry and art as we learn about transformations. Transformations change the position or size of a figure to a new figure. The four types of transformations are translation, reflection, rotation, and dilation. Let's start with translation. To translate a figure, slide every point the same distance in the same direction. For example, I have my first figure, which is a triangle, and that just means the entire thing moves in any direction. Either the entire thing moves to the right, to the left, down, or up. Now I'm going to use a duplicate to demonstrate. Here's the pre-figure. It's just the figure we start off with. I'm going to translate this figure to the right 3 spaces, okay, or 3 units. 1, 2, 3. And I end up with this. I've moved it to the right 3 spaces. This is my pre-figure, and this is the figure I've ended up with. We use translations in everyday life. I know I do. For example, whenever I need to use this flash drive, I have to slide or translate the cover off and then slide or translate it back on. I also use translation when I am opening and closing things with the zipper. I can slide it to the right or slide it to the left. Next, we have reflection. To reflect a figure, flip the figure over a line called the line of reflection. We use the pencil for a line of reflection today. Here's my figure. I'll start with it on this side, and now I'm going to flip or reflect it to the other side. Now all points in the figure and pre-figure must be an equal distance from the line of reflection. Here's what that means. I'm going to use a duplicate to help you see this better. So my figure is going to start here, and if I flip it on the other side of my line of reflection, it needs to be right up against it the same way the pre-figure is. They're both the same distance from this line here. Here's another example. If I turn my triangle or my figure this way, and I move it over there, if you'll notice I have 2 units between it and the line of reflection. So now I'm going to use my duplicate figure to help you see this better. I'm going to flip or reflect this along my line of reflection. And when I do, I need to flip it over, and it too must be an equal distance from the line of reflection. 2 units here, 2 units there. I use reflection in everyday life as well. Visually, I do it by using a mirror. That way I can see my reflection or my face flipped to the other side. So right looks left and left looks right. I love doing tangrams. And whenever I'm doing tangrams, I always end up having to flip this little guy here. Next, we have rotation. To rotate a figure, you're going to turn the figure about a point called the center of rotation. The point may or may not be on the figure. Here's an example. Got that same figure. I'm going to select a center of rotation by sticking my point somewhere. So I will actually select here, sort of in the middle of this figure. And I'm sorry, my hand is in the way. I'm going to try to move it out of the way a bit. All right, so I'm going to hold that steady. And now I can rotate my figure about the point. All right, now I'm going to pick a new center of rotation. So I'm going to select this area here. I'm going to press and hold that. And now I can rotate my figure about that point. All right. Now, those 3 transformations were all congruent. That means the pre-figure and the figure you end up with are always going to be the same shape and size. For example, when we slid or translated anything, still same shape, same size. When we reflected anything, regardless of how it was turned, still same shape, same size. When we rotated anything, here's my original, here's my duplicate. I'm going to rotate about this point here. There we go. I'm rotating it. Again, same shape, same size. This next one is non-congruent. It's dilation. To dilate a figure, expand the figure to make it larger. Here are a couple of examples. I started here with a solid square and I expanded it to make it larger. Smaller square, expanded it to a larger one. For this example, it's not a solid or filled in shape. It's just a line or a drawing of a square. And I have some arrows to help you to understand how it has gone from this shape or this size to that size. So they both have the same center. I have my pre-figure drawn here, and then I just expanded it or made it larger, coming out in the directions of the arrows. My pre-figure and the figure I ended up with both have the same center. One is just a larger version of the other. Now, I forgot to tell you, for everyday life, I also rotate items. I have to rotate or turn lids to open them. And now coming back to dilation, I want to use these hair ties as an example. So here's the first one, and let's just pretend that's a perfect circle, okay? So now I have a second one. This is going to serve as my duplicate. I want to expand or dilate the hairband or hair tie from that size to this size. So I'm going to expand it and wrap this around it. So now you can see this is a much larger version of the original shape, all right? If you need to take a break, just pause the video, and when you return, we'll do a few activities based on transformations. Welcome back. Now let's show what we know by being creative. Here's one thing you can try. Create a transformation scavenger hunt. What I've done is I've made a little title for the center, transformations, and then I've created a box for each type. Translations, reflections, rotations, dilations, and be creative. I love lettering, so I chose to practice a little bit here. Inside of each section, just kind of go around the house and find examples of each type. It could be something that transforms, or it could be an action you're taking to transform something. Next, let's try to make a tessellation. Tessellations are tiles that fit together with no gaps and no overlapping. Here's a piece here by an artist named M.C. Escher. He was a Dutch graphic artist who created mathematically inspired art. So for our project today, you'll need an index card or a small piece of cardstock. Here I've just cut a square shape. It could be a rectangle, that's fine. You definitely need a pencil, one with a good eraser if you can find it. You'll need some scissors, you'll need tape, and then you'll need a piece of drawing paper. So I'll put this to the side until we need it. First, you're going to take that index card or that piece of cardstock that you have, and you're going to make a cut from one side across to the other. Now, please don't make a straight line. You want it to go dancing or walking or do something interesting from here to there. So I'll grab my scissors, and I'm actually going to start by maybe coming up here. I'm doing some straight lines, some curved undulating lines. I'm getting from one side over to the other. When you're done, you want to put your pieces back together like a puzzle. You're going to pick up the piece from the right side and translate it over to the left side. You want to match up those two straight ends and secure it with a piece of tape. So I already have some pre-cut tape prepared, and I'll secure it there. All right. Now you're going to rotate your piece so you have your straight sides on the right and the left. You're going to do another cut from bottom to top or top to bottom. Please don't make a straight line. Have it to dance or walk from here to there. So I'm going to come in on an angle that way, and I'll angle back this way, and then I'll cut and maybe start to curve a little bit around and back to the top. Again, you want to put your pieces together. Make sure everything's turned the correct way. You're going to pick up the piece from the right, translate it over to the left, match up your two straight sides, and secure that with a piece of tape. I like to make sure it's kind of matched up here too and not shifted a bit. You could totally try shifting yours. I always encourage students to try new things, experiment, and be creative. I'm just showing you the basics here. right? Secure it with the piece of tape. So now you have engineered a stencil. I want to come in and cut off the pieces of tape that are sticking out because I definitely don't want that when it's time to trace. Now I'm going to bring over my piece of drawing paper, and it can just be a scrap piece of paper you have lying around the house, or it can be a fresh piece. It really doesn't matter. And when you're tracing your stencil, it really doesn't matter where you start. Some people prefer to have it in the center. Some people prefer to start on an edge. I like to start in the center and then work my way out. Your stencil could be on this side or that side. It doesn't matter. I like to flip mine over so I'm not looking at tape the whole time. Now I want to carefully trace around my stencil, and please make sure you're keeping your drawing tool right up against the edge. If it's not perfect, don't worry about it, just do your best. I'm going to trace around, and I'm going to speed up a bit so I can get through this tutorial for you guys. All right, go around here, all right. Almost done. All right, when you're done, remove your stencil and you'll have your first shape. Now you want to translate or slide your stencil to fill the entire paper. So you want to continue to slide and translate to create duplicates from your pre-figure. So I see this fits in nicely there. It has that same kind of opening, almost like a mouth. So it slides right in there and connects. And now you want to trace again. And again, I'm so sorry. I'm trying to speed up just so you get the gist of it. It's not super neat, but you get the idea. And I don't need to trace here because I already have the line from the pre-figure. Now I can remove that, okay? I don't like this, so I'm gonna get rid of that extra pencil there. All right, now I just wanna continue doing that. Translate or slide this to move it until you see a fit. I can see this same shape there. So I'm gonna slide this in and I would trace around it. I see this right there. So I'm gonna put this here and trace. This I can see matched up there. Can you see? So I would slide it right here and trace around that. So when you're done, your entire paper should be filled with duplicates of that pre-figure. Here's one I did ahead of time. When you're done, you want to take your time and rotate your paper. So I would look at this one and I have to try to figure out, what does that look like? These kind of look like arms. This looks like a shirt collar maybe, and this is part of a dress or a gown that's flowing. I don't know. I can rotate it some more and see what I see. This right here reminds me of a tail of some sort, or maybe a fin. All right, you could turn it this way. This way, you have to be really creative to see this. But I see a superhero on a horse. The horse is leaping in the air. So these are its front legs with the bend kind of where a backwards knee would be, I guess. And here is the back leg and the hoof. This right here is maybe the hood of my superhero, and this is its cape flying in the wind behind it. All right, I could turn it again and see if I see anything else. Once you do that, you would take your drawing tool and you would just start adding details to transform that figure into something. Here's the kicker. You have to do that for each one. I know it's going to take a little bit of time, but you'll be so proud of yourself when you're done. And you'll have a piece that's just as awesome as MC Escher's. Add color if you'd like. I noticed for his, he actually has 3 different colored reptiles. I don't know. I might use one color for mine. It's up to you. And one last activity, if you're feeling super ambitious, I want you to try your hand at a pop-up book. When you make your pop-up book, see if you can include something that moves that represents each one of the transformations. Translation, something that slides in or out maybe. Reflection, something that flips or a tab of some sort. Rotation, maybe something that pivots or spins around. And then dilation if you can. That's going to be a tricky one, but a component that expands in size. I hope you guys have enjoyed this activity today, and I look forward to working with you again soon.